Hey, everybody, how are you today? I hope you're having a great week so far. We are getting ready to dive into part two of Birthing the Holy. And so, again, I just want to say thank you for the delay in this week. But as we dive in, we're going to go right into Gate of Heaven, she who is the portal. And when we talked about this on Sunday, it was one that we continue to recognize just how much of the connection, how much of a pathway that Mary is for us to her son Jesus. And really she is the one who is that waymaker, that one who brings us closer not only to him, but she's on this path to lead us to heaven. And so as we were talking and looking through all of us, there was one quote in here that I wanted to pull out, and of course I forgot to go ahead and mark it that we were talking about. But right here, really that Mary is just that one, not only with her yes to the angel, she steps onto a threshold welcoming in a pregnancy that brings with it many unknowns. When we are able to fully release our need to control the outcome, thresholds become rich and graced places of transformation. We can only become something new when we have released the old faces we have been wearing, even if it means not knowing quite who we are in the space between. And St. Ambrose of Milan asked, "Who is this gate if not Mary? Is it not closed because she is a virgin? Mary is the gate through which Christ entered this world when he was brought forth in the virginal birth, and the manner of his birth did not break the seals of virginity." This would form the foundation for the Catholic Church's teachings on Mary's perpetual virginity. Mary is the gate through which Jesus enters the world and our hearts. Her consent was required for him to cross that threshold. And again, we go back to that, her fiat, that yes. And what would we all, where would we be today without that? And so just calling on the gate of heaven. Each time you cross a doorway in the days to come, pause and ask Mary to bless your vision so that you see that the gate of heaven is indeed everywhere. And so just recognizing those thresholds, those places that we have to cross, these places that we have to journey to get to the other side. And how is she with us, and how is she helping us with those? So moving on, we go to Hodegetria, and she who shows the way. Her feast day is August 10th. And we had a lot of great conversation around Hodegetria. And she who shows the way comes from icons in the Eastern Orthodox tradition. They believe that one of these paintings was actually completed by St. Luke himself and taken to Constantinople. And she is also the mother of God who appeared to the blind people, took them by the hand, guided them to the famous monastery and sanctuary of Hodegetria, where she restored their vision. So this place became a place of pilgrimage. People would frequent and still do, and to receive healing, and especially if they were blind or had trouble with their vision. And in Spain, it says we also find an image of Our Lady of the Way called Santa Maria della Strada. There was a medieval mural dedicated to her on the external wall of the small chapel, Our Lady of the Way Church in Rome. This is where St. Ignatius of Loyola prayed and eventually set up headquarters for his Society of Jesus. And of course, there's different Hodegetria is considered one of the Black Madonnas. And so, again, we find different paintings and representations of these Black Madonnas. And on page 90, we have Thomas Merton again coming out and saying, Mary is always gently persuading from within. Mary does not rule us from without, but from within. She does not change us by changing the world around us, but she changes the world around us by first changing our own inner lives. And then we start to ask, can we stay present enough to see what is actually showing up in this moment rather than being attached to how we want things to be? And Richard Rohr talks about moving away from an ego-driven life to one that is soul-drawn. And how do we go on this journey? So we're connecting Gate of Heaven. We're connecting Hodegetria and this path that we are on to get to heaven. And so how are we connecting these things and seeing Mary in different points of our journey and different versions of Mary guiding us to her son, guiding us to heaven. And we were also talking about with Hodegetria, what were moments of divine encounter that opened your eyes more fully to sacred seeing? And I think with some of this, it doesn't have to be this huge, massive, profound thing that you see. I mean, for some of us, it is recognizing these small steps. We gave thanks today. We recognized opportunities of gratitude, or something you typically wouldn't want to say yes to, or maybe you were dragging your feet on and you went on ahead and you still persevered and you went through with whatever that commitment was, or that yes. And so we have to remember to celebrate those small things that we do, and along with the large things. So make sure that you're giving yourself that recognition, that credit. As a mom of small children, sometimes it's trying to find the time to pray. And so it's making sure that I bought this kitchen rosary. I need to go upstairs and show you guys this. But it gives me the opportunity to move the beads over just in small mundane tasks of like cooking dinner or unloading the dishwasher. And how can I may not have time to say a full rosary, but did I get a decade in? Could I get a couple Hail Marys in? And I can keep track, and I can always go back and complete that rosary. So again, small wins. Give yourself credit for those, and remember that they lead to the bigger things, those small little habits. So next we're going to dive into Star of the Sea, She Who Helps Us Navigate. Feast day is September 27th, so just came off of that one as well. And Star of the Sea, she's also known as Stella Maris. And so I really love Star of the Sea. And I guess this is one that Christine also says is one of her favorites because she lived on the coast. But ancient mariners would call their compass Star of the Sea because of its shape. And Mary became conflated with this idea of a guiding light to call us back home again to Christ. And so I think of her standing on top of a lighthouse. She is that beacon that draws us in, that guides us through the storms, that calm nights. She is always there. She's that true compass. And we talk about how in Hebrew, Miriam, meaning, which was a Mary's name translated in Hebrew as Miriam, and it means drop of the sea. And in Latin, that means Stella Maris. And so Mary is the archetype of our own North Star, a compass to guide us home again. The qualities of the North Star make it a well-known beacon and navigation tool. It provided nighttime guidance for slaves escaping to northern states and Canada before the end of the American Civil War. And so again, she is that one who asks us to drop what we're doing and to follow her. Again, navigating us towards her son, taking us to him so we can continue on this path, continue on this journey to ultimately be with Christ and be with God in heaven. She also calls upon St. Anthony of Padua, perhaps one of the most well-known Franciscans, disciples of St. Francis of Assisi, would invoke Mary's name as Star of the Sea to summon his own strength. The sea is a metaphor for the dangers of life, the risk we take, and the storms we face. Mary becomes a symbol of safety and safe harbor, a place we can return to when waves become too rough. And another thing we called out is, this journey of surrender. And sometimes you can't fight the sea. You just can't do it. It's too powerful. And so you have to figure out how to move within that motion, move within it, and be one with it to navigate it. And there's many things in our lives that we have to learn to surrender to. We have to realize that we have to go through whatever it is. There is no loophole. There is no way to bypass. There's no detour. So we have to commit to it. We have to surrender to it, and we have to go through it, and we have to recognize that we have these guiding presences to help us get through it all. And so calling on Star of the Sea, explore your own relationship to the ocean and the vast night sky in some journal writing. Imagine a star shining brightly in the dark heavens that is meant to guide you home to yourself. Where are you being invited to loosen your own desire for control? Oh, that's a hard one. Where are you being called to yield more? What lies beneath the surface of your inner sea when you dive down? And so, again, having us explore some of these depths, these things that are, in a way, outside of our comfort zone. So next we move on to Morning Star, she who awakens the world. And I believe that these two go hand in hand a lot of the times, but we are on page 61, and I love that she draws on the story of the Epiphany, the Magi following a star to discover the Christ child. Stars have a magical quality in the scriptures, offering just enough light to illuminate the pathway ahead. The early church fathers wrote about the morning star that shines brightly before the sun rises, symbolizing Mary, who is the light preceding the brilliant illumination of the sun and the sun. The morning star was actually the planet Venus, which, depending on the season, appears in the sky as a bright, steady light a couple hours before sunrise. And so, again, she is not only Stella Maris, but she, Star of the Sea, she's Star of the Morning. Again, she's that light, that beacon that draws us in and guides us home. And so St. Bonaventure writes, raise up your eyes and cast them on this beautiful star. Take courage and trust, for she will guide you out of the tempest and bring you to the port of safety. Again, she is calling us. She is in our darkest days and our darkest nights. She is helping us navigate. She is helping us with that surrender, that guidance, where we need to go. How do we get to her son? How do we feel safe when following the unknown and trusting in these dark depths and these areas where there's shadows and things that are just they make us feel insecure? And she helps to call us home in these ways and to bring us to Jesus. And so this is the first time we're asked to work with our dreams and really put a journal by your bed and ask to be shown some of these things. How are we unlocking what may come to us? And what do these things represent? What are they meaning? What are they trying to tell us? And so she says, ask Mary to illuminate this place within you. If you awaken with a dream, even if it doesn't seem to make sense, write it down and have a dialogue with each of the symbols. At that point, none of us had done that yet. I still need to do that this week. I think it's a little intimidating to see what's going to appear and what I can take away from that. And so again, I would challenge you to do the same and see what comes from your dreams. On page 67, we are going into Seat of Wisdom, she who knows, whose feast day is June 8th. And St. Augustine really was the first one to refer to the Seat of Wisdom. It says, Otto, a Benedictine abbot of the abbey, expressed it this way: philosophy is called the pursuit of love of wisdom. Mary is therefore the philosophy of Christians, for whoever desires to find true wisdom must direct their love and endeavor to Mary. Most theologians interpreted the wisdom literature of the Hebrew scriptures as an expression of the eternal Logos who unites himself to Mary, his mother. Mary is the person who, through her most intimate relationship, is totally receptive to the wisdom of God. The wisdom keeper archetype might also be called a sage. And what I think about is, somebody who is gaining wisdom through all of their experiences. Like they said, it's not something you can't gain all of this just by reading. There are things that we go through that allow us to process these feelings and these emotions and just the entire gamut of what you go through in an experience, these and how you learn, how do you handle it, you can read about something, but until you've gone through it, and how you process and what tools you call upon to navigate that experience, that's what gives you the wisdom to be able to handle those things in the future. And so um, I like that it says that it stretches us, it pushes us to our edges, all while staying as present as possible and not running away. And that's exactly what we have to do. And again, we have Mary there to guide us through these experiences, through these paths that sometimes aren't easy to take. They're not easy to navigate on our own. Calling on the seed of wisdom, we might say that she midwives him to a new life in both poses, meaning on your image at the beginning of this. She holds all of us in both those ways, from birth to death in all our lives. The wisdom is the realization that our destiny is both to be comforted and to be crucified. She is there through it all. She is going to offer it up because she was the one who went through birthing Christ, the Annunciation, raising him, being his mother, watching him be crucified and die. I mean, she went through, she lived all of this for her son, and in turn her son for all of us. And so her wisdom of when we feel like we are at our breaking point, we feel like we don't have the capability to go forward, her wisdom is what allows us, it's what encourages us, it's what guides us to keep going and know that we're not alone. So just really think about what we can accomplish when we're at that moment and calling upon Mary's wisdom to get us through. And we're going to end this section on Mother of Good Counsel, she who supports our discernment. Her feast day is April 26th. What an amazing story to go through. I love this. It says, the story says that there was a painting that was originally in a church in Albania in 1467, at a time when the Turks were invading. Two young men who had a devotion to Mary went into the church to pray. They fell asleep and in a dream were told by Mary they need to leave the country with the painting and follow wherever it led them. The painting detached itself from the wall and became wrapped in a white cloud, leading them on a journey across the land and the Adriatic Sea to Genzano, where the church there was being renovated. The townspeople were celebrating the feast of St. Mark the Evangelist when they suddenly heard the most beautiful music coming from the heavens, and the church bells started to ring. The cloud descended on the church, and when it dissipated, the painting appeared there on the wall. Her feast day was set to follow that of St. Mark the Evangelist. And the painting was originally called the Madonna of Paradise, but it was changed to the name where the painting was installed. It's just unbelievable. It says, what was it? There was also, there was a bomb that crashed through and did major destruction to this church. And yet this painting that's so thin, that is so old, is untouched. And so we have these miracles. And I was talking to a friend the other day. You know, when the church goes through to look at these miracles, they're not just something like we say, hey, that's cool, we're going to say it's a miracle. I mean, these things are massively investigated and tested, and you know, there's so much that goes into these things. And so it's not just, it's so crazy to me that our first initial thing is we don't recognize it always. Our human nature is not to say that is divine. We say, oh, that's got to be made up. Our first thought is to disprove these actions, these things that have occurred. And, you know, Mary continues to pull out examples and to show us what what this all truly means. And we just have to be receptive to it. We have to be willing to be there for it. And she is counseling us. She is, again, she's leading us. She's guiding us. She wants us ever present with her son. And she wants us to be residing in heaven with him. And so she is going to be, again, that one on our shoulder that's going to help be in our ear about the things that we should be doing and the things that we shouldn't be doing. And she wants our success, and our success at the end of the day is to get to heaven. And so it says, in the chaos and anxiety of our lives, we can turn to her for advice. She can help us discern the pathway forward. She helps lead those devoted to her to a place of inner peace. So again, that's what I said. She's always right here. We just have to be receptive to the message that she is sending to us. We have to believe in the message that she's sending to us, not trying to disprove and debunk, because in our heart of hearts, we know what is true. It says she can show us how sometimes doing too many good things is the antithesis of doing one or two things really well. And so again, it's remembering those small things, or the one or two things that we do very diligently that are okay. Like, we have to recognize where we're at and our capacity for what we can do, and how, again, that impact can be there. And so, again, I challenge you this week to pay attention, to have your eyes open. What is Mary trying to tell you? What direction is she pulling you in? Where is she beaconing you home to? And I feel like if you stop and you listen, you're going to recognize that. Maybe it's going across those thresholds of the door. Those whispers are there. Those actions are there. Maybe it's going to appear in your dream. Maybe it's even more in your face than that. But she is there to get us where we're going. She is on this journey with us, and she wants our success in it. So I hope that you enjoyed these Marian titles this week. I think these were some excellent ones that we have pulled out, and that we have gotten to know Mary in a deeper way. Next week, if you just want to read all of part 3, so we're going to go through all of part 3 for this coming Sunday, and I look forward to chatting with you all soon. Have a great one.